how to get out. This is not fun.
This is me, I'm so royal.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Queendom. I'm Sarah Ingle, and this is Germany Week. This is part 2 of the Germany vlog series, but do not worry if you missed the first one, because this one still makes perfect sense even if you didn't see the last one. We've just left off in our story where we realized my entire itinerary is now thrown out the window because we had some dates mixed up, and I've got to figure out what I'm gonna do now by myself in Germany. My skin is also recovering from a hair vitamin that I should not have eaten, and now I am in a hotel trying to figure out what to do by myself in a country where I don't speak the language. I quickly realized that there was a very, very big silver lining to this, and that was, you know how often when you go on vacation, it's just like a big checklist of, okay, I'm gonna do this and see this and this and this, and it's like a checklist of a lot of times very touristy activities. I was like, you know what? This is my chance to slow down and absorb the culture. So instead of making the list of all the tourist destinations that I want to check off my list, I made a list of things within that culture that I want to experience. Number 1, learn a new word in German. Number 2, try a new food. Number 3, go to a grocery store. Number 4, talk to someone new. And number 5, learn something about the history. So with my list in hand, I was ready to go.
I have to say, I am completely spoiled by Southern California weather. This is where we're going, Innenstadt.
I headed back into Mainz, and the first thing I noticed is how insanely quiet it was compared to the day before.
First of all, I just want to show you guys how cleared out this is since yesterday. It's like so much more chill.
If you missed the last vlog, you'll see that I happened to be there during Fastnacht. It's basically like German Mardi Gras, and it was insane. There were parades and people and craziness all over, and it was like being in a completely different city than the day before, which is actually great for me because this was supposed to be one of my let's explore, try and absorb some of the culture.
I do find it really interesting. They have the producers. Seems like an interesting show for here, given the topic of that. I got my hot chocolate. I managed to get it. And he spoke English, so me looking up the word for hot chocolate will end up being really unnecessary.
There was also this weird little gnome in the coffee shop, and he moved around, and I don't know what he was, or if there's something significant to him, or they just happened to have a gnome in there. So after I finished up my hot chocolate, I continued my wandering, my aimless wandering, and found myself in this little courtyard that really reminded me of Harry Potter, and I was just kind of exploring in there, didn't really know where to go. I didn't know, because I can't read any German, you turn right, you'll go in the cathedral. You turn left and you'll go in the museum. I'm glad I did go in the museum, because I wandered my way in, saw where that said tickets, and I found this room with 2 ladies in it. And so in this one little adventure, I managed to cross off 2 of the items on my list. I talked to the ladies who were selling the tickets a good little bit. So they start to tell me. So of all the things to learn in German, I think I learned the most useless word of all time. Wasserspire. There was this little green dragon looking thing with a hole in it, and his mouth was a hole too, and I was like, oh, what is this? And they were like trying to explain to me that there were a whole bunch of these dragons in the museum, and there was a Wasserspire, and basically I know I got the word water, I think, and dragon, so I think Wasser means water, and spire, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly.
It's pronounced spire. It comes from spira. It's Latin.
They did manage to convey that basically water goes in the dragon and then comes out his mouth and it spits it out. So I'm like, maybe it means water spitter. I'd never heard of like little dragon water spitter spouts. I don't know, but I was very excited to go on my way through the museum and see all the things. It looked like the cathedral had been on fire at many points throughout history. The treasury you were not allowed to film in, but I don't know what any of it was anyway, so you're not missing much. But then after you get outside of the treasury, you get to see the Wasser spires. You meet these little, you don't meet them. They're just a room and they have these really big dragon heads and they have a hole in the top. And so when it rains, they spit water out of their mouths, which is great. I wish I had a Wasser spire. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. After I finish my way through the museum, on the way out, I discover, oh, you actually can go into the cathedral. And it was a Sunday, so I think there was actually a service earlier that day. And one of the very first things that greets you inside of this 1,000-year-old cathedral is a crypt. Yeah, like a crypt where they keep dead people. And it was all locked off behind this iron gate. And it was really terrifying. Oh goodness, even the sneeze made me jump after looking at that. I don't know, something about it and like the way it was so dark down there, it just gave me the heebie-jeebies. The cathedral dates back from 975 AD, but they rebuilt it and restored it constantly and basically reached the state that it is in now in the 13th and 14th centuries. I believe on its opening day, it actually caught on fire and they had to do significant repairs. But this was back in like before year 1000 that happened. Here in the US, we go see things like Williamsburg and we're, oh my goodness, it's hundreds of years old. And it's really like not old at all compared to these places. It blows my mind that this cathedral has seen so much of human history for over 1,000 years and has still survived and is in just remarkable condition. In fact, very recently, relatively speaking, in World War II, 80% of the city of Mainz was completely destroyed by bombings, but the cathedral was left virtually untouched, and it's really amazing and very fortunate because it would be such a tragedy to lose something so beautiful and so full of history. It was really, really spectacular. I'm so glad I went in there. If you ever have the chance, if you're in that area, you have to see it. So I had explored a good while, and the nice thing was about the cathedral, it was completely free to go in there. It's like, okay, well, if I want to come back later, I can. So I go to the door, and we have a little problem.
It's stuck. Broken. Does that mean push or pull? Is it push? No, I'm locked in. How do I get out?
So I'm trying to push. I remembered this was the door that I came in, and I can't get it. I'm like, am I not strong enough?
I don't know how to get out.
Like I'm looking through the glass, and I'm like, this iron gate that's in front of this glass door was not here when I came in. I'm locked in.
This is unexpected. I bet I'll just wait for someone else to come in.
I can't read any of these like signs. I don't know if they closed at a certain time and like then you're just like, okay, I guess you're locked in.
I don't know how to get out. This is not fun. I want out.
So many things I don't know what's going on. And the worst part about it is I'm locked in right next to the crypt. And I'm like, no, we're stuck in with the crypt. I would not want to spend the night in the crypt. Finally, eventually, I find another way out, but I was in there for far too long, far longer than I wanted to be. Anyway, after my little adventure getting locked in a 1,000-year-old cathedral, I wandered into Kirsch Garten. I think that's how you say it, but basically there's this really cute little area and I love seeing the buildings there. It's just so cute. Some of the houses in Kirsch Garten date back to the 15th century, which is, again, crazy to think about. I love the style of it. Usually I'm into like everything being super, super modern, like almost futuristic, but I love that. While I was wandering in that area, I did manage to find a grocery store. When my sister and I went to Amsterdam the other year, we had so much fun trying a whole bunch of different candy that we found at the grocery store. And so I wanted to try some German candy.
Oh wait, is this a grocery store? I think this is a grocery store. We walked right past it before. It's like a little grocery store. But it's a grocery store. Oh, it's closed.
Unfortunately, I also learned that a lot of things are closed on Sunday in Germany, at least in Mainz. So I decided I would wander my way back to go have some dinner by this point. So I found a place for dinner called Alex.
I'm trying baked herder's cheese, which will be our new food for the day.
And oh my goodness, it was so good.
I really want some. I wonder if I can get it out.
So if anybody knows, please tell me in the comments, because it was so good and it had red peppers, which is something else that I like. I'm a big fan of cheese, and that one was way up there at the top. Like, it was one of the best cheeses I've ever had. It was so good.
I'm glad we tried something new.
But after dinner, I went back to the hotel, pretty pleased that we'd accomplished basically everything on the list.
I just wanted to tell you guys, notice, by the way, literally, it's just, I woke up this morning and my skin was so much better because I hadn't taken those hair vitamins.
So the next day was pretty similar to the day before. There was a lot more exploring and absorbing, and I even tried another new food. The description on the English menu described it as just the way Grandma used to make it. And even though I didn't know what it was, and I don't know if my grandma ever made it, my grandma was German. So I figured, you know what, I should order this one. And so I did. And it was good, but I was so jet lagged I could hardly even finish it. On my way back, I wandered a little off the beaten path again and found this amazing tiny little coffee shop. Like, it was like they made it all right there. It was like the perfect place for me to just kind of sit and absorb and feel like, yeah, I feel like what I'm doing now is not super touristy. I went in there and I had another hot chocolate. It was really, really good. It was better than the other hot chocolate. It was super pretty. And I also had to get a video out that day. It was the day that I put out my exercise routine video. After I put up the video, after that it was pretty late there and it was already dark out. But I found out there was actually a grocery store super close. And there was a whole grocery store full of things for me to explore. I was having lots of fun with Google Translate, lots of fun just looking and seeing all the things they had, and especially the candy. I wound up buying some raspberries from Morocco.
More sour. But they're good.
I got some little waffle things.
These feel like a Twinkie. They smell like a Twinkie. It just tastes like a Twinkie. Kind of tastes like a Twinkie. No, it tastes like angel food cake.
And I got a bunch of different candies.
Ta-da! These are really good. Ritter Sport waffle. This is real good.
So I felt pretty pleased with myself. I accomplished everything on my list, and by this point the next day my dad was going to be back, and I knew for sure what we were doing the next day. So tell me in the comments below, what is the oldest building you've ever been inside? Oh, I'm most excited for the video that's coming out on Friday. We got to do something that's really cool, and I'd been saving it to do it with my dad when he got back. So make sure you subscribe if you don't want to miss that, and ring the little bell if you want that to come right to you. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying Germany week, and I'll see you next time. Back. How often do people get a chance to go to Germany? At least in my... Maybe we need to do a DIY Wasserspire. I'm sure that would be like a super popular and relevant video for everyone. So after that, I did, I'm gonna sneeze.
I'm just happy.